All right, hello, and welcome to Office Hours, episode 9, I suppose, where we answer questions, give philosophical perspectives, formulate and explore arguments, and deep dive into particular topics of your choice. This is a pro bono one. This is not a paid one. This is one that I was having a conversation with a friend, and I thought, wow, what a good question. What an interesting question. Would you mind if I use this for a video? And he said, yeah, go ahead, for sure. So without further ado, Nick writes, I was talking to a buddy of mine who was saying he feels like Christianity offers something to people that pagan beliefs did not. Redemption of the soul. I tried to explain that because pagans hold very different views on this, they don't often feel as if their souls need to be redeemed or saved. I figured I would run it by you and see what you think. So it's a very interesting question because it's a lot deeper than it looks on the surface, I think. And I like questions that arise out of arguments where both sides are right. Because Nick's buddy, I believe, is correct. Christianity does offer something to do with redemption that paganism, at least most pagan systems, do not. We'll get into that a little bit. Of course, the initial answer that the pagan worldview is different. There is no original sin. There's no need for theological redemption is correct. You don't. There's nothing to be redeemed from in the theology of most pagan systems, to whatever degree you can even describe pagan traditions as theological in the Christian sense of the phrase. However, there is a second kind of redemption. There is a redemption that we often feel at a personal level that we need, a personal redemption. This comes from a feeling of having wronged people or screwed up in some way, and we feel like we have lost some degree of worth or honor, perhaps, and we need redemption. We need to recover from this feeling of loss that is discrete. It's not based on theology. It's not based on a cosmology or a story of humanity itself. It's nothing we've inherited. It's nothing like that. It's, oh, I said I'd help my friend out, and then I left them out to dry because I forgot, and it really screwed up their life for a couple weeks. Errors like that, where you don't just injure someone, but you lose their trust in their eyes, and maybe in your own eyes to some degree. And we need redemption. We feel a need for redemption from that. And this is very real. You can't just dismiss that feeling, which is fairly universal. It comes to most all of us at some time or other in our lives. You can't dismiss that by just appealing to the theological differences between Christianity and paganism. But think about how Christianity answers this. The forgiveness offered by Christianity doesn't actually address that second kind of redemption, that personal need, the redemption from your friends or from yourself. What it does is it makes its theological redemption, the redemption from God, so grand in its scope and in its power that it covers over all of the personal stuff. In other words, if you wrong your friend, you don't need to necessarily atone with your friend. You can come to Jesus and all is forgiven. Now, I don't want to act as if Christians don't atone with their friends. They are, it's not just an option for them, but it's something that they're actually kind of supposed to do. It's something that they're enjoined to do. There are guides in the New Testament on how you are supposed to make amends with other believers. But that practical wisdom, which is good wisdom, is not theologically necessary in that grand sense. And the grand sense, the grand scope of the world that Christianity is operating within and their framework, the framework of eternity, is so vast that it dwarfs the importance of those little interpersonal reactions. No matter what Christians want to say about that. At the end of the day, we're all, sinners, and the opinion of other sinners is sort of, it's not that important. We may feel bad, but at the end of the day, if they're going to remain bitter about it, well, I hope their heart gets right. That's between them and God now, if they didn't accept my initial apology or whatever. So the Christian theological redemption, the redemption from God, is so grand that it covers over the personal, the need for personal redemption that we have. And this this manifests itself in a rather nefarious way sometimes. You might know people who were very bad people, for whatever reason, like criminals, thugs, who have done terrible things, but then they find Jesus, right? And what happens there is the need for forgiveness, for mercy, for atonement, and for redemption is so great that Christianity is finally the only thing left to them, really. And so they find Jesus. You see this in Ted Bundy, for example. He converted to Christianity, talked with what's his name, the very famous, I can't remember his name offhand, the very famous Christian radio host about the dangers of pornography. Basically said his evil deeds, murdering and raping the bodies of women, was the result of pornography, which, given the proliferation of pornography in the internet age, is probably going to be very bad news for women any day now. We're still waiting on that terrible explosion of Ted Bundy's into the world. In the fiction world, you also see it in a character like Mason Verger, brilliantly written in Thomas Harris's Hannibal series. You might know him from the movie where he tries to feed Hannibal to the pigs. There are these characters who have done some terrible things in their lives, and then they find Jesus as the cheap form of redemption. It's quick. It's so much easier to ask Jesus for forgiveness, to come to Jesus for forgiveness, than it is to come to other people for forgiveness. Because other people might say no. With other people, atonement and redemption is a negotiation. They need to approve, and to you need to actually reconcile with someone who's there, not just with an abstract idea somewhere in the sky, presumably. So, what about paganism? It might look like paganism doesn't offer redemption in the same way. It doesn't appear to offer redemption, but this is only an appearance, and it's an appearance that is created in the juxtaposition with Christianity. Christianity, the systematic nature of redemption, throw yourself at the mercy of Jesus, accept his sacrifice on your behalf, and all will be forgiven. You can have redemption. It's already yours. You just need to take it, no matter what you've done. that's so simple and clear and easy, that anything less than that will look like it's not offering or dealing with the question of redemption at all. But this is not true. Paganism does take the question of redemption seriously. I would say more seriously than Christianity, because it doesn't offer redemption cheaply or lightly. It does convey in its wide range of traditions and stuff the rituals and practices that you might use to actually make amends with someone that you've wronged or someone that you've angered. You find this more practically in like honor codes. How do you pay the blood price? Much of ancient pagan, especially Greek literature, centers around the blood price, which is, how do we reconcile if you've killed someone? It's one of the most important questions of the ancient world in terms of the creation of civilization. And if you've paid the blood price, just like if you've served your time in the modern system, you're done. You've paid your debt. You have been redeemed in the eyes of the law, and hopefully in the eyes of the people who you wronged, if they feel as if the debt you have paid is sufficient to cover the cost that you incurred. And this is it's a very tricky thing because it's inescapably subjective. So, we do the best we can, but there is no systematic way to do that. It's a skill, and it's a matter of experience, and you develop these things over time. That's the pagan approach. And it's hard. It's hard, and it's not always straightforward. And it's hard because there's not only one way to find redemption, because there's not only one kind of wrong. There's the whole plurality of types of wrongs and contexts within which one can do wrongs that need to be taken as they are, not covered over in a blanket matter by wrapping them all up in one concept like original sin and saying, well, we'll just solve this one thing and then you find redemption for everything. So it's hard, and it's can be painful. It can take a little while longer, but the benefit of redemption and reconciliation within paganism is that it's the real thing. You are finding redemption from the people who you actually wronged, whether that is yourself or someone else you know or society as a whole. And so the pagan answer to the Christian or the person who's contemplating, do I choose Christianity or do I choose paganism? Christianity has redemption. What does paganism have to offer? The pagan answer is, yes, Christianity offers redemption, but we don't want that redemption because it's too easy. It's not the real thing. Christianity offers forgiveness for what you didn't do in lieu of redemption for what you actually did. So what does pagan redemption look like? Well, there's a ton of different examples you might find, but the quickest one that comes to mind, I guess, is Odysseus, who has angered the god Poseidon. And so he, journeys all the way to the underworld to speak with the seer Tiresias, who tells him this is how you will make amends with Poseidon. Once you've go home, slay the suitors, restore your kingdom, your marriage, all that, you'll take an oar and wander inland to where the inhabitants don't know the taste of salt or the smell of the ocean. They know nothing of the sea. And this will be your sign. They'll see you carrying your oar and they'll think it's a winnowing fan. There, after you've gone all this distance to a place you don't know, plant your oar in the ground, which is a representation of a tomb for a sailor, and make sacrifices to Poseidon, to the god who you've angered. And at this distance that you've gone, through all this trouble that you've gone, Now you make sacrifices to him, then he will be appeased. It's a lot of work. And it is not clear from the text itself whether Odysseus actually did this or not. But if he was to make amends with Poseidon, that's how he was supposed to do it. And there are similar examples of that in other stories. How to find peace after someone has wronged, and how to find peace with yourself if you've wronged yourself in some way, if you've let yourself down. So that is the quick. This will be a quick one. The quick pagan answer to the question offered that about redemption and what Christianity has, and whether paganism has anything like that. The short answer is no, but also yes, and maybe in a better way. So thanks for listening, and take care.